You know what, y'all? I really want to talk about the drug war. I want to talk about Saudi Arabia joining BRICS. I want to talk about the U.S. involvement in the Ukraine conflict and the immediate things that led up to that and these annexed territories. I want to talk about NATO expansion post fall of the Soviet Union. These are all on deck, but today I'm going to close up my little bashing on Biden week with the hypocrisy that he invokes in his 1991 to 1995 legislating of the anti-drug crime bill, and the hypocrisy that's come full circle. Call it kismet, call it karma, call it Hunter Biden. Hence, not Russian disinformation like you were selling us before the election. So, here you go. Welcome to the post-war show.
You have a piece of crack cocaine, no bigger than this quarter.
No, I just weighed the bag. It's 2.06.
2.07 without the bag.
A Twitter user under the name of NJ Gloper posted the video of Hunter. It sees him filming himself with a cigarette in his mouth. He then flips the camera to film the scales in front of him. As you'd expect, the video has been making the rounds since it was put up.
That I'm holding in my hand, $0.25 of $1. We passed a law through the leadership of Senator Thurmond and myself and others.
So here we have an example of what a centrist Democrat / really Republican did for the drug war, for the poor, and for the minorities in the United States in 1991 to 1995. Primarily, the man used the timing of the Iran-Contra affair and tried to get some of the stink away from him. You know, they wanted to push it off on the users and what they were doing to families. There's a lot more to that clip that I have listed in other videos. But more importantly, secondly, is that as a direct result of this legislation, more than any other, we now have a 4.6% of the world's general population with over 25% of the world's prison population that are just enslaved. They are trapped in a never-ending cycle where they are not in any way trained to do anything but be better criminals, and they are cheap labor for 3,000 plus Fortune 500 corporations. And that's who our politicians are owned by, that's who the puppet masters are, and that's who we need to start paying attention to. That's why I support the boycott, divest, sanction movement in Israel, because I'm a pro-Palestinian state supporter. I just am sickened by the oppression of the Palestinians. And I think that the way we spend our dollars, even though our dollars are going down, did you guys see that Saudi Arabia is joining BRICS? Holy shit, but that's the next episode. Anyway, thank you, Joe. I'm glad you got your karma back in the form of your son.
A law that says if you're caught with that, you go to jail for 5 years. You get no probation. You get nothing other than 5 years in jail.
Now, this is only true if you're brown, black, a minority, a threat to the dis, and malinformation campaigns, if you have a stance on pro-life or pro-choice, if you have a stance on Ukraine or on Russia, if you have a stance that goes against the ever-changing COVID narrative, which we will also get to in a couple episodes, if you have a stance on Julian Assange, if you have a stance on any election that has happened in the last 20 years that has been challenged in any way, if you have a critically inclined mind to things like false flags, 9/11, the Gulf of Tonkin incident, Operation High Jump, Operation Paperclip, what about United Fruit Company, the USS Maine, on and on and on. If you were to really look at it, you'd find every fucking war we've been in was triggered by a false flag event. The Lusitania, It goes on and on and on. Weapons of mass destruction we never find. Iraqi soldiers that really aren't throwing Kuwaiti babies on the ground. And right now we're occupying 1/3 of Syria, all the oil-rich, resource-rich areas, and we are calling Russia war criminals for annexing parts of Ukraine where the Ukrainians have been punishing these Russian-speaking people for years and years. That's why the Minsk Accords were signed, to stop that. It didn't. Putin's had enough, and he's right, and I don't care what anybody says. Ask me why Putin's right. I'll debate you in any format, and you'll come out wrong. But that's another upcoming episode.
He'll talk about anything that I want him to, that he believes in. If I say this is important to me, then he will work a way in which to make it a part of his platform. My dad respects me more than he respects anyone in the world, and I know that to be certain. So it is not going to be about whether my dad thinks it's going to affect his politics. No, it won't. It's not going to be whether or not he's going to be embarrassed of me. He never will. It's not going to. All of those concerns that you have with all of the people that you know, that are the children of, I have none of them.
Judge doesn't have a choice. Now,
Hayworth tweeted, "The smartest man Joe Biden knows videotapes himself weighing crack."
I just hope people are a little more conscious. That's why I'm here, to try to raise people's awareness. This drug war has ruined the job of being of police. Federal sheriff's departments in all the lower 48 and Alaska and Hawaiian states are incentivized to make drug-related arrests. They get their government grants and their government hand-me-down MRAPs, military-style weapons, military-style Kevlar, just different gear, based on the number of drug arrests they make compared to the year before. So if they meet or exceed the number of drug-related arrests, they get more grant money, which incentivizes entire sheriff's departments to not pay attention to other more serious violent crime in regards to keeping the streets safer. We have de-incentivized that. We have made cops nothing but trained, untethered, protected drug-sniffing dogs, when oftentimes the medicine is better for you than the drugs that the government's fucking selling you and giving to their lobbying groups, and then going to work for them whenever they retire or are voted out. This is bullshit. Wake up, spread the word. More post shows coming. Thanks y'all for tuning in.